I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are speaking with Christopher Newsome. He is an intriguing author with a flair for mystery, best known for his work, Autobiography of a Mystery Man. His compelling narrative style has captured the imaginations of readers around the globe, inviting them into the captivating depths of his enigmatic life journey. We're delighted to delve into his storytelling process today and learn more about his work as we talk to him right now on Spotlight. We're delighted to have him in the spotlight today. We thank the folks at Good River Print and Media for helping us put him in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support writers like him by subscribing to our channel. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Christopher Newsome, man of mystery. This is your autobiography. Tell us a little bit about why you decided to write this book and why you entitled it as you did.
Well, I decided to write this book because I think we all have a story, and I think every individual story is important, and I wanted to tell my story. And how I came up with the title was, I remember when I was in college, I read this book. It was called The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was writing this book, I was thinking of a title, and I thought that, well, it is the autobiography and I'm writing it and people consider me mysterious. So I came up with Autobiography of a Mysterious Man. So that's how the title came about.
Sounds great. Now, you're a young man to have written an autobiography. What made you say, at this point in my life, I'm ready to tell my story?
Well, I had the time and I've always wanted to do it. So I just said, hey, why not now?
What was it like writing the book as a personal exploration of your life?
It was a challenge at times. I mean, I enjoy writing, but some of the chapters were kind of difficult because they would take like maybe 10 to 12 hours to write a couple of the chapters. And I had to really dig deep to produce the chapters.
Give the folks at home an overview. I know it's your life story, but tell them a little bit about that life story.
Well, I was born in Chicago, grew up in the Chicagoland area. Uh, my parents, they were married, but then they divorced, and I lived with my mother primarily throughout like my life. And then like I would go see my father on the weekends because he lived in Indiana, and I stayed with him in the summer. And I just basically followed my life in the Chicagoland area.
Hmm. And what do you hope readers will know about you and perhaps know about themselves when reading this book?
That they're not alone, that everyone goes through a lot of different things, and a lot of things can be personal, they can be embarrassing, they can be things they rather not talk about. And I just wanted to open the door and just have an open conversation with people that it's okay to just go through your past and focus on things that you may not necessarily be proud of.
What was the hardest part of this book to write? What was the story in your life that you felt it was most difficult to pull out and talk about and put out there before the world?
In the book, I have a chapter called Detrimental Emails, which is, I think, chapter 11. And it dealt with me receiving these emails that I thought were legitimate, but in actuality, they were scams.
Hmm.
And I continued on with those emails and followed up with them. And then by the time I found out they were scams, I was scammed out of a lot of money and put myself in debt and had to declare bankruptcy as a result of that.
Yeah.
So that was very hard and very kind of embarrassing to admit, but I had to talk about that because it was very important.
Is this the first book you've written?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And I know you said it took hours upon hours sometimes to write a chapter, but how long did it take you to write it?
The entire book.
Yeah.
Uh, I started it about sometime in 2008, and then I took a break from it. And then I came back to it. And then once I came back to it, it took about maybe another 2 or 3 months to write. So all in all, maybe about 9 months or so.
And when did you write? Did you write at home? Did you write on your laptop? Tell me a little bit about the writing process.
Primarily, I wrote it in my bedroom. I made an outline of what I wanted to talk about, and I just sat in my room and just wrote longhand first, and then I typed it out.
Interesting. So you had what, like a yellow pad there or something, and was scribbling it
Something like
down?
that.
Yeah,
Right.
very cool. Who's the first person you asked to read it once it was all complete?
Uh, my father, he had asked me if like I would give him a copy, and I said sure, no problem. But I was a little bit nervous about it because I have a chapter in there about him, and there's some unflattering things in there that he did in his past. So he was the first to read it.
And what was his reaction?
He said it was well written, and I'm was thankful for that.
And the parts that were unflattering to him, was he understanding about that?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, sounds good. And part of the task for this book, I guess, was weaving a little mystery into this autobiographical narrative. How did you go about doing that?
What specifically do you mean?
Well, you try to build a little suspense for the viewer, for the reader rather than the viewer, where you try to not just, give the facts of your story, you actually told it in a compelling style. What went into that, writing it in a compelling story, in a compelling style?
Uh, Pretty much I was straightforward. I mean, I didn't really want to leave anything too concealed, if you will. I just wanted to just go straight forward and go for it and really be honest.
What have you heard from readers who've picked up the book?
I've heard they've liked it. There were a few reviews about it, and so far it's been pretty good. I'm not expecting everything to be great, but
Right.
overall, it's been pretty good overall.
Is it hard having your whole story out there before the world?
It can be. It's not my entire story, but it's a good portion of my story.
Was it therapeutic at all writing the story? Was you put it down on paper, you kind of relive parts of your life. Did it put things in better perspective?
Yeah, it did. It was therapeutic and it was also very draining because I had to dig deep to remember some things and pull some things out and get it out on the page.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about your life. Are you married? Do you have children? That kind of stuff.
No, I'm single. I live in Indiana and I work a regular job that has different hours, but I'm just working, living my life.
Do you have any more plans for writing any other books?
Not at the moment, but we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you enjoy writing this?
Yes, I did very much.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's your favorite part of the book? So maybe it was a story or something you hadn't thought of for a long time, or something that kind of makes you smile even till today.
There's this one part of the book where it's called exposure, and basically about that chapter, it talks about my exposure to sex, and I talk about that, and it's got some pretty interesting stories in there. So that's one of the chapters that I like and kind of enjoy. I don't
Absolutely,
know how
absolutely.
people are going to receive it, but it's an interesting chapter.
Well, it's a rite of passage. It's the first time you're intimate with a woman, and it kind of is special. I would think in the hearts of most people, their very first time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Can you see this being made into a film or a TV series or something?
Um, I thought about it, but I mean, the thoughts crossed my mind, but I hadn't really considered it, to be honest with
Yeah.
you.
Well, it's out there, so you never know who's going to read it, who's going to pick it up and say, "Hey, Christopher's got an interesting story." Is it all true? Or is it fictionalized at times?
No, it's all true.
Yeah. Okay. Very, very good. And why did you decide to call it Autobiography of a Mystery Man? What's mysterious about you?
I grew up very quiet and reserved, and usually when you're quiet and reserved, you're considered mysterious. So that's where the mystery comes from with the title.
Gotcha. Okay. Sounds great. Well, the name of the book, as we just mentioned, is Autobiography of a Mystery Man. It is written by Christopher Newsome. He is an intriguing author. He's got a flair for mystery, and he has a compelling narrative style that has captured the imaginations of readers worldwide. He is inviting them to the captivating depths of his life's journey. And we are delighted to have spoken to him today here on Spotlight. Christopher, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.